Can you imagine living in a land where everything you needed to survive came directly from the land that you lived on? Well, there was such a place, a land in which Native Americans believed that they were closely linked with, and everything that grew on the land or lived on the land. Because of this belief, the idea of owning land did not exist among the Native Americans. Long before there was a state of Idaho, there were people living there. And the people lived different, but similar lives because of Idaho's different regional areas, such as the Snake River Plain, the Salmon River Country and mountains, the Panhandle, and arid western Idaho. Each of these regions had differing climates, geography, plants, animals, fish, and other resources in which the tribes of these areas used in differing ways. All the northern Native American tribes maintained similar living conditions because of this shared climate and natural resources. During the summer, they fished for salmon, steelhead, trout, and sturgeon. They would dry the fish and save it for the winter months. Along with the salmon, the northern Native Americans ate buffalo when it was available. The tribesmen would migrate to Montana to participate in communal bison hunts. They also hunted bighorn sheep, Rocky Mountain goats, bear, moose, elk, and deer, caribou, and small game. Fowl were also an important part of their diet. The northern tribes would supplement their diet by gathering roots, huckleberries, choke cherries, service berries, blackberries, and wild rhubarb. The principal house was the tool mat covered longhouse. The length varied but could be over 100 feet long. These dwellings were used for ceremonial purposes and for winter housing by several families. When traveling seasonally, they would live in teepees. The teepee was made using wood poles with mat covers, which could be easily packed up for moving when tracking big game herds. These northern tribes lived in small, individualistic bands, led by a headman. Later, after the introduction of the horse in the 1850s, the family and the clan dynamics changed significantly. Groups were organized under the leadership of powerful chiefs, and they adapted to following herds of buffalo. The southern tribes, which included the Shoshone, Northern Paiute, and the Bannock, also shared similar characteristics. The climate was much more arid than in the northern region of Idaho, forcing the southern tribes to be frugal and resourceful. They lived much differently than the northern tribes. They dwelled in grass huts instead of houses. They made pottery instead of weaving baskets, and they used grinding stones instead of mortar. For food, the southern tribes fished for salmon, which they would also dry for the winter months. They gathered roots, nuts, and seeds, hunted small game, and even ate insects. Idaho was home to an expansive Native American population that had evolved in the region over thousands of years. The encroachment and settlement of Americans decimated the native way of life. By the end of the 19th century, all of Idaho's Indian population had been forced onto reservations. An ancient Indian proverb, "Treat the earth well," was not given to you by your parents, but instead it was loaned to you by your children. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children.